Bruchim Aboim, everyone. Welcome back to our 18th Shiur. As you can see, right behind me, this does not look like Eretz Yisrael. I am in the States, and we're going to be staying here for the next few weeks over Ben Zmanim until Rosh Chodesh Elul Metz Hashem, and then we'll be returning back to Eretz Yisrael Metz Hashem for the upcoming Zman. Hopefully things are going to settle down by then, and we'll be able to get back to somewhat of a normalcy, and hopefully we'll have some Buchim coming. And over Yom Tif, we shall see. The Abish is going to help us. Metz Hashem, we're going to be back on schedule. I want to be able to put together two different topics from different shiurim that we've had over the past few weeks. One of the main topics, and then of course what we discussed last week when we were still in Yerushalayim and we were in the old city and we were looking out on the overlook over there with the Makam HaMikdash. So of course we're holding now the 3 weeks. We started already the 3 weeks. We had Shivas B'Tamuz, and now we're holding the beginning of the 3 weeks. And like we discussed last week, was that this Avelis kind of gets stronger as we get further into the 3 weeks. We're going to be starting with Rosh Chodesh with Rosh Chodesh Av, going into the 9 days, and then of course ultimately into Tisha B'Av, into the actual destruction and the Avelis that we have to go through. So another topic that we've discussed many times over the past shiurim was of course the idea of Talmud Torah, and we've had different shiurim of different parts of learning that we've discussed. But there's something specifically I want to mention now today, because of the fact that we're holding out during the 3 weeks. One of my Rabbeim from Eretz Yisrael was once here in America a few years ago, before he even moved to Eretz Yisrael, and he gave over this idea during this time period, during the Yemei Ben HaMetzarim, this times of the 3 weeks, is that if we look into the time frame of the 3 weeks, how many hours are from the 3 weeks, carries the same amount of Mishnayos that there are in Shiur Mishnah. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure exactly the exact calculation, because of the fact that if you would do, let's say, 3 weeks plus the day extra of Tisha B'Av, which would be figured 22 days times 24 hours, the amount of hours comes out to 528. And of course, as we know, it's 525 Mishnayos, a Prakim Mishnayos. So I'm not sure exactly the cheshbonos, but this is what he said, that it carries the same for Mishnayos in the times of the 3 weeks. So I just thought about it today. I was just thinking about what we could discuss, and this is something I was thinking about, that since we've discussed many times different points of Torah and of learning, we spoke about Kaveh Itim Torah, we spoke about being Mavesedra. I think this is the next level, something I want to be able to share with you. It's something that I've done myself as well, is Mishnayos, and we just went through the Sima Shas, and even the Sima Shas, going through the entire Shas, which stands for the Shisha Sidra Mishnah, is a lot of the Gemaras that we have, that we learned, it doesn't have the Mishnayos part of the Gemaras. There's a lot of Mishnayos that are missing out, even when you're going through regular Shas, even Pirkei Avos. So therefore, it's an extra time to be able to look into the limud of Mishnayos to help us go through this time. There's another thing is that Mishnayos, the word Mishnah, is the same oisius as Neshama, as our Neshama. Of course, a lot of people, we know that for a yahrzeit of when somebody is nifter, we go ahead and we learn Mishnayos, because Halacha tells us that, it says in Kitzur Shulchan, it says that Mishnah and Neshama carry the same letters, and therefore we go ahead and we learn Mishnayos for the Neshama. The Neshama should have an aliyah in Shamayim. But there's also another word that one of my Rebbeim once said, that the word Mishnah and the word Neshama have the same word as well as Mishaneh. And I discussed this myself. I don't know which one of our listeners now, might have been Yeshiva at the time, when we made one of our siyum of Shisha Siddur Mishnah. And I mentioned this idea that Mishnah is Mishane Neshama. That means that going through the Mishnayos, that itself can change our whole neshama. And so many of us find ourselves sometime in a little bit of a confused state. We don't know how things are really going to properly play itself out. And we find ourselves struggling between maybe just the way life works and what we would kind of want to see from ourselves as well. And then we get into this kind of difference between what we really want to see from our neshamas and what ends up really happening in the real world. But this idea to be able to pause a second and to hold in our pockets a little Mishnayos, and wherever we go, wherever we find ourselves, we might find the time that we want to be able to like we discussed last week and we discussed other weeks, to be able to do something that we could find the time to be able to say, okay, listen, I have a few minutes, I can take out a Mishnayos and I can learn a Perek Mishnayos. We do that, that can make a tremendous impact on our life in a positive and of course spiritual way. And it's something that I've done myself, and that's why I want to be able to share it with you also, to be able to think about this idea and to be able to be mechazik that maybe now this time of the Yemei Ben HaMetzarim, to be able to go ahead and dedicate a limud of Mishnayos, to learn through Mishnayos. Now, of course, the main big hurdle that everyone has when it comes to learning, and this is why I really want to share this with you, is because we sit down and we don't know what's going on. And we sit down and we're trying to understand, and we're trying to listen to this online share, and we're trying to be able to chap what's going on in this sugya and in that Mishnayos, and we find ourselves getting very lost. So that is the first and foremost thing that has to be cleared and has to be understood, that one of the main points that I believe that we've done in yeshiva all the years was being able to accomplish one thing, and to be able to realize that learning is a process, and it's something that takes our entire life. And I was telling somebody over Shabbos here in Tom's River when I was here for Shabbos this week, and I was speaking to him about what we do in yeshiva, and I told him, I said, at that point, I tell the boys, I said that in life, we never make it in life. We always have more to work on. And there's nobody that could ever say, okay, now I'm good. And of course, you know that, because we've discussed that before many times. But at this point, speaking about learning Mishnayos and going through Mishnayos and having it in our pockets and being able to allow that shinoi, that change of our neshamas, for something that we don't really feel that it's possible, it is possible. And the way it's possible is because we're just going to be able to take a Mishnayos, open it up, and just start reading through the words. Even though we don't understand it, even though we can't really figure it out, even though there's Gemaras that are based off of every single one of these Mishnayos, and it's too much for us to really be able to grasp, but it's just going through one Mishnah, this is going to change our whole being and our whole mindset, and it's going to make an impact. So I want to be able to, like I said before, to be mechazik this idea. I want you to be able to do it. I've done it myself, and it made a tremendous impact on me, and I encourage you to do the same. Open up Mishnayos, start learning. You don't realize it maybe in the beginning, but you are definitely making a major impact on your life, and of course the life of Gans Klal Yisrael, and you're making a big reishim in the world, and you're being Mekadesh Shemayim, and you're giving the Rabbi Shalom a lot of nachas. And in them zechis, we all should be able to be zeiche, to be able to continue learning, and to be Mekadesh Shemayim, and to build up all the zechisim here, wherever we are, here if we're in America, we're back at home in Eretz Yisrael, and we should all be able to have the ultimate zechis of having the Beis HaMikdash be rebuilt again during this time period of the 3 weeks when we're mourning the Beis HaMikdash and we're not there. And we should all be able to be zeiche, to be able to come back home with Mashiach Tzedekani,